The Pacific Alliance, if you go to their website, is designed to promote free trade, something that isn't very fashionable in the world at this point. President Bachelet, I want to start with you. What is the outlook for the Pacific Alliance in the context of a world that seems, at least the populations of the world, seem unhappy with free trade?
We know that the world is complicated right now. Everything in the world today is interconnected. So you can have some issues that can affect your economy. But on the other hand, I mean, to be honest, I mean, before we sign a free trade agreement with China, we already had a problem with competing with China because the prices were not very competitive for the Chilean prices in some areas. So you cannot blame free trade agreements for some issues that have different explanations. But I know that, but we, the four countries, we do believe in trade, and it has been very positive.
Opening up economies has been extremely productive to the world. I mean, we've had the best period of growth in the last 50 years in the world's history.
You cannot ask trade agreements to solve your domestic agenda. You have to build your domestic agenda to accompany trade and to really give the benefits of inclusion that are expected from trade.
President Santos, what about TPP?
They told us we could become eventual members and negotiate once it is approved. We have the intention of being part of that group, as we are waiting to be members also of APEC. We've been invited for 2 years in a row already. We've been knocking on the door of APEC for a long time. We are just waiting for the moratorium to be lifted. What they tell us is we are first in line, and we hope that maybe in Peru, the moratorium could be lifted and become a member. We look at the Pacific, Asia Pacific, as an area with tremendous potential, and I think one of the pillars of the Pacific Alliance is precisely to look towards that part of the world where growth is higher and where the opportunities are present.
TPP is not approved in the U.S. First, I will respectfully recommend the presidents that Alianza Pacífico should step in for TPP. We should not wait for Washington to make up their minds about integration and free trade.
From all the four of us, three of us have signed TPP, and we hope that after the election, we would like that President Obama will push so TPP would be a reality, because even though it's interesting what the Minister of Economy has mentioned, one of the requirements of TPP is that it can be put into entry into force when the 80% of the GDP of the countries it's represented. So if the U.S. is not there, unfortunately, it might not be able to function.
Mexico's done some tremendous things in the last couple of years. The energy reform, the telecom reform. How concerned are you, just as finally there's been this turn to liberalize parts of the economy, that there's a possibility that Donald Trump will be president of the United States?
There are many countries that are related to the U.S. economy, but very few that are so related to Mexico. So our challenge is that 80% of our exports come to this country. We share a 3,000-kilometer border with the U.S. Therefore, we cannot afford to open a very important and complex bilateral relationship. So for Mexico, we have to be out there. If we have to talk to the devil to guarantee the safety and the future of the Mexican people in Mexico and the U.S., we'll talk to the devil.
Anybody else here worried about Donald Trump being president of the United States?
I just want to put a gender perspective. I think the world needs more female presidents. And
I subscribe what she said. So we are proud of being a strategic partner of the United States. I'm proud of that, and I hope we can continue to be strategic partners. There's a lot of common ground that we have. I don't like his policies on trade or his policies on migration, but as Pedro Pablo was saying, many of these people who say one thing when they're in campaign and do other things when they realize what is possible and not possible in government.
You need good demographics and good policies. And that's the thing that Trump doesn't understand, by the way. No, that I have to say. I mean, the Latins have helped the U.S. immensely because they have kept the population young, Social Security that was...
Good looking.
In some cases. No. And Social Security that was supposed to go bust years ago didn't because of the Latin workers. And, you know, that's what's happened. So he's got to think that this damn wall that he's talking about is absolutely counterproductive for the U.S.